I often book travel cars through Orbitz and other third-party providers because they make it really, really easy to kind of compare prices and things like that. I don't book airlines and hotels through third-party providers frequently, but definitely cars. And so I needed to rent a car over the holidays with my husband. We were in New Jersey going to see his family. So Orbitz provided me a link to something new, something I hadn't seen before. It was called Silvercar, and normally if I see, a new rental car company, I'm like, no, probably not. It's usually a red flag in my experience. I usually tend to stick to the bigger ones, particularly when traveling to somewhere that I don't normally rent a car, like the New Jersey area. And so for me, it's like I had to go and check out a whole bunch of reviews about it. So that might be what you're doing watching this video. So apparently this company, Silvercar, they rent exclusively Audis. Like that's it. Which I was like, oh, okay, that's a little more interesting than I thought. So I decided I might explore it a little bit further. I thought it sounded pretty cool. So I did a little research, like I was saying. I read some articles, a couple of reviews, stuff like that. Some of them very glowing, where very clearly Silvercar realized this person was going to review the process. So they maybe made the experience a little bit better. And there were a few complaints and things like that, about it being difficult to get to the lot or it taking a lot of time to get there, but nothing that was really like a huge red flag that I was like, I'm going to show up and not have a car or something, really awful like that. And so I thought we would probably need to prepare ourselves for a really expensive experience. This seemed like something that might be a little bit more of a luxury experience than what you normally get out of a car rental. And surely there would be a catch to this situation because it came up as like $150 or something like that for 2 or 3 days worth of rental. And I thought, that doesn't sound right to me. But then I found a discount code for $50 off and I was like, okay, we're off to the races. We're totally booking this. So fingers crossed it'll be a good experience. And I was really ready and open to be an evangelist for Silvercar at that point, like I am for so many other services and apps. I'm the app lady. Everybody always makes fun of me because I have hundreds of mobile apps. Anyway, I digress. Silvercar also has an app. It seems to be kind of targeted at millennials and frequent business travels who are a little bit younger or who are very familiar with technology. So after you book, you're going to want to actually download the application and fill in a little bit more information about yourself and just confirm that they've got all the details correct. You put in your driver's license information, a little bit more about your insurance if you'd like to. So let's talk a little bit about the customer service experience that I had with Silvercar. So over the holidays and frequently in the United States during the winter time, probably in other markets too, but particularly here if you're, flying a puddle jumper or, regional airlines have these really, really tiny planes. If there's any type of weather, you are at a very high risk that either your plane is not going to be available for you to take the flight that you're trying to take, or the crew won't be available, or the weather will just be too bad for you to take off anyway, so you won't make it to your destination on time. That happens a lot in the winter time, but also over the holidays. So I had to rebook our flights both for the time that we took off and for returning because there was inclement weather that weekend. So I rang up Silvercar. I fully expected this to either A, not have a phone number like a lot of the other apps do out there and have to kind of go back and forth via email, or B, call them up and nobody would be there to answer the phone, or all those things that happen with a lot of services that are new and maybe not so well funded yet. But that was not my experience at all. A very nice young man, I assume he's a young man, answered the phone, and we had a nice conversation, and he really helped me to readjust the booking to what I needed to do. And you can actually readjust the booking in the application itself, but for some reason I wasn't able to rebook the time to bring the car back as I expected I would be able to, because I was able to do that for pickup. So anyway, I digress. So I called to get some help. He helped me, but you do want to double check after you get some help just to be sure. So I double checked the next morning before we actually took off and noticed that the booking was not done exactly the way that it needed to be. He misunderstood the time that we were landing and rebooked it for the incorrect time. So I got that corrected. I called a second time, got that corrected. And I told them, I said, when I talked to them on the phone, I said, you know, if you are going to need to charge me extra because I'm going to bring it back a few hours later than I had initially thought I was going to, that's totally fine. Just let me know how much it's going to be. So a little bit more on that later on. Let's talk about how you actually go and pick up your Silvercar. So you're going to use the app. When you land, you're going to use the instructions to alert them that you have arrived. And for Newark specifically, we were in Terminal C, and they texted us instructions on where it was that we were supposed to go. Now, this is the part where people start to complain because it is a little bit confusing. There are signs up at Newark that say rental car shuttle. Not the right place to stand. You're actually supposed to stand underneath sign number 1 for off-site airport parking, and a shuttle called the Snap Shuttle will come and pick you up. We'll put up a couple pictures so you can see what it looks like and all that kind of good stuff. So you're going to board the Snap Shuttle. Just be sure you're standing under sign number 1. It did take quite a while for the shuttle to arrive, which, like, I see why people might be irritated with that if they're in a hurry at all. We did see a ton of other shuttles come by. It's about 45 minutes from the time that we texted them to tell them that we landed and when the shuttle actually arrived to pick us up. But once you arrive at the off-site parking lot, it's super fast, so that's actually a plus because sometimes that's not true of rental car experiences. Somebody comes out, they greet you. Our guy was super nice. You know, you walk around the car and confirm no scratches bigger than 1 inch or anything like that. They do a little bit more information with you inside of the app just to confirm your insurance choices. You click to scan a QR code from your app, and then you put your stuff in the car and you drive away. So yeah, it's a pretty easy experience once you actually arrive there. And actually driving it, like, the navigation system in the car was actually pretty good. So I drive a Lexus, and the navigation system in the Lexus is pretty bad. It looks like the same navigation system that my mom had in her Lexus like 10 years ago, and it's difficult to use, and like even inputting the address of where you want to go, it's like, whoa, no, definitely not. I use my phone most of the time, but the one inside of the Audis is actually pretty slick. It's pretty nice, and if I didn't want to use my mobile data, or, you know, I was from out of the country or anything like that, it probably would have worked pretty well, and it was relatively easy to actually input the information. So that's a big plus for a lot of rental car experiences. You have to actually pay extra for that. You don't seem to need to do that with Silvercar, which is cool. And the car is super comfortable, very, very easy to drive, speedy. I see why people who drive Audis are maybe a little impatient with the rest of us on the road, because it's one of those cars that you just feel safe in, and it's definitely a luxury experience. So I would say the actual driving of the car and the usage of it was absolutely phenomenal. I was thinking to myself, should I have bought an Audi instead of a Lexus? So anyway, they did text me and tell me that I could return the car a little bit later at around noon, rather than 7 a.m. in the morning. And so we thought we were all good to go. So, you know, we used a little handy pre-programmed address that they have in the nav system to help us navigate back to where you return the car, which I also thought was a great feature. And then there's a Gulf gas station right down the street from the Silvercar location at Newark, so you can fill up the gas tank before you return it. Now, a note on that, not only will they charge you for the gasoline itself if you don't return it full, but they'll also charge you an additional $10, so be careful of that. I misunderstood the guy when he talked to me, so thank God my husband was there, because I was like, oh, only $10 to refill the car. That's not what they mean. It's a $10 additional charge. And then the other thing about the Audis is they take mid-grade gasoline. So that Gulf gas station does not have mid-grade, so we had to pay for premium, but it was way more affordable than having Silvercar actually do the refill. And then a little reminder of the weird Jersey gas pumping rules. Don't get out of your car. I always forget that. I always make fun of my husband. He's from New Jersey. They pump your gas for you, which I think is really bizarre. After you drop the car off, really simple, really easy. There's another guy who comes out, he greets you, he does a little circle around the car. Kudos to you if you keep your car clean. So now we're going to come back around to talking about the post drop-off experience and the billing experience that I talked about a little bit earlier in the video. So, you know, if you rent a car for a certain period of time and you speak to the representatives and you say to them, hey, I don't mind if you charge me a little bit of extra money. if I need to drop it off a little bit later, can you just let me know how much that's going to be and then help me confirm with the location that that's okay? I totally get it. You know, Silvercar has a limited number of cars that they can actually rent to people. I think their inventory is a lot lower than a lot of rental car providers. Totally fair, totally get that. So where the sort of like trip up for me in this experience is that they confirmed with me that I could indeed bring it back at noon and that that would be no problem. But then they charged me for it, and they didn't tell me they were going to charge me for it, and they certainly didn't tell me how much the charge was going to be. So when I got the bill, I opened it up and I was very surprised to see that not only had they charged me, but it had completely wiped out that $50 off coupon that I had. And you know, we're talking about a difference of maybe 4 hours of what I had initially booked and when we actually brought it back. So I was very, very surprised at that and a little bit upset. So I called the wonderful customer service people again, and I said, you know, hey, I kind of disagree with this because while I did say it's fine to charge me more, and I know that's a totally normal thing to expect, nobody confirmed with me what those charges were going to be. So they were very nice, and there was a little bit of pushback. You know, they said, hey, you know, if you rent the car for a little bit of extra time, you're going to have to pay extra money. And I explained the situation. I said, I totally agree with you, but this is what happened. And guess what? They returned the money. They returned that extra charge. So thank you, Silvercar. I really, really appreciate that. I would rent again. I think I would rent again even if they had not done that. But the fact that that they returned that money to me means that I'm giving them an absolutely glowing review, 5 stars. But be sure that you do confirm with them if you need to extend your time a little bit more what that charge is going to be. There is a per hour rate that they can charge you, which is pretty steep, and most rental car companies, I haven't had that type of problem. You know, you can bring it back within a window of like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and there's no extra charge. With Silvercar, it is on the dot. You got to be there at the time that you book, no later than that. So just keep that in mind if you do book with them. Now, here's what I want to know. Leave me a comment down below if you have ever rented with Silvercar from another location and you have hot tips on how to actually get to the Silvercar and how to actually get out to those lots. And then I'll also leave a link below if you want to check Silvercar out, and then if I can get my hands on a discount code, I'll put that down there for you too, and you can try it out for yourself. So that's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Let me know if you're planning on booking a Silvercar how it goes. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.